And as good as you are, I think you could be better. I think you can be extraordinary.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another recap of Rise. Let's go ahead and break down episode 2 right here. So Lou is still not the most likable guy, at least to me. He still cares more about his theater program than it seems like his own family, and even his own coworker who he treats like crap. Now I'm hoping that this guy gets a wake-up call, because it seems like he's only trying to do this whole theater program to prove something to himself. Anyway, Lou is informed that he has no budget for the show, so they have to think of something to do to raise money. He's gotten on the agenda for the district school board meeting, and Tracy thinks that's a good time to ask for money, but Lou, he doesn't want to do that. He wants to use this time to try to win over the football-loving city into embracing the theater department. Sorry, buddy, that is not going to happen. Now, Lou and Tracy continue to disagree on things throughout the episode, like how to handle the meeting and how to give Gwen direction. At the board meeting, Tracy has had enough after she learns that the football team is asking for money for a new Jumbotron, and she just goes off on how they deserve some money too, and that the arts is actually what sets them apart from the apes and makes them understand things like life, death, and love, not football. Now, it is a damn good speech, and Rosie Perez nails it. And, well, she ends up asking for $20,000 for the budget, but will settle for $14,000. Does she get it? Unfortunately, she doesn't. After the meeting, Lou pretty much tells Tracy if they're going to work like this and it's going to work, she needs to support him and not be a liability. Yeah, wrong words to say there, bucko. You do not want to kick your one ally who actually knows something about theater to the curb, so you can bet that Tracy is not having it. She marches out, but later she gives him a check for $750 from the school board and says it's at least a start. She then tells him that bringing in money makes her an asset, not a liability, mic drop, and that he shouldn't take her for granted because he needs her. Now, what gets me mad here at Lou in this scene is that he doesn't even apologize to her. I think she dropped the mic so hard his mouth is just like on the floor because he doesn't know how to react, but hopefully he makes that whole situation right. Now, I get that Lou is going through his own personal stuff with his family and his son Gordy, but he has to learn how to balance it all. Gordy ends up sneaking out one night and getting in a car accident. While his breathalyzer test shows that he wasn't drinking, Gail is still convinced he has been. The two keep hounding Gordy about drinking, but it's just driving Gordy further and further away. Now, having Macius in the house isn't helping either, especially when the youngest daughter, Sadie, asks if he's going to be their new brother and that he'd definitely be a better brother than Gordy. Now, after another instance where Gail thinks Gordy is drinking, she asks Lou to get the school involved now, and we learn that Lou's father was actually an alcoholic. Instead of getting the school involved, Lou thinks he can handle it himself first, so he tries to talk to Gordy, and the truth comes out. Gordy basically expresses that he hates the arts and all the things that he's had to do to make Lou happy, like playing guitar, being an artist, and taking photos. Gordy knows that that makes him a disappointment to Lou, but it should be fine because, you know what, Macius is replacing him anyway. Lou tries to tell Gordy that he doesn't need to be an artist, but Gordy actually calls Lou out for not being honest about that. Gordy again denies drinking during the previous incidents of the episode, but Lou still doesn't trust him, so he gets the principal and they search Gordy's locker, and they do find a bottle of alcohol. The principal suggests sending Gordy away to a program for a few weeks, and Gail is all for it, but Lou doesn't think it's going to work. Leave it to Coach, though, to actually step up, and he offers to work with Gordy because he says Gordy's a good kid who's been on the team for 2 years, and while he's never even played it down, he's always at practice on time and he works really hard. So it looks like Gordy may be getting the father figure he's longed for, while we'll see if Lou ends up being more of a father figure to Macius. Now for our kids, Lilette is still crushing hardcore on Robbie, and since Robbie is having major trouble learning his lines, she asks him to run lines and they set up appointment. She gets all dolled up, but it's no shocker here that Robbie blows her off because his teammate guilts him into doing extra practice. Robbie continues to suck at rehearsals and asks Lilette for a rain check, and she's pretty short with him because she's pissed at him, but she tells him to come during her break to the restaurant. And what do you know, he shows up, they run lines, he even holds her hand a little, and they kill it at rehearsals the next day. Then, guess what? Lilette gets her heart crushed again when she walks out of the school and sees Robbie kissing some blonde chick. Yeah, Robbie better make up his mind, right? Football, theater, Lilette, other girls, Lilette, other girls. What does this kid want? Now, we met Michael briefly last episode, and we get to see him take a big step in this episode. He asks Lou if he can change in the boys' changing room because he doesn't want to be changing in the utility room anymore. Lou says that he can talk to the guys about it, but Michael doesn't want it to be a whole thing, so Lou just says okay. When Michael goes to the changing room, he asks the guys in there if it's okay that he changes with them, and Robbie is the first to speak up and tell Michael that it is. Now, Simon does still look a little unsure, but you know what? This acceptance has made Michael really happy, and you know what? There was no fuss about him changing in there, so he feels like one of the guys. For Gwen, she's actually coming to terms with her role role as Elsa. Someone who isn't is her mother. Her mother's still mad that Lou is in charge of the theater program and that Lilette got casted as Wendla, and she encourages Gwen to go in and show Lou what he's missing and what she's made of. So Gwen goes in and basically overdoes her part and overpowers everyone, which Lou is not happy with. Of course, Lou has no idea how to communicate what Gwen is doing to her, which just gets Gwen more upset and she storms off from practice. Now, after rehearsals one night, Gwen stays back and asks Lou why he didn't cast her as Wendla. Lou explains and then tells her that she can hate him for the next 3 months, or she can actually find her character. He explains that Elsa is about pain, betrayal, and longing, and that Gwen needs to dig deep to find that pain within her. Now, Lou might not know the technical theater stuff, but his words actually help Gwen, and she has now connected to this character, and she gets up and starts performing the song with raw grit, emotion, and vulnerability, and it looks like she found that pain within her, and I bet it has something to do with her family falling apart. Lastly, let's talk about our boy Simon. Simon's still questioning parts of the musical, and it's kind of obvious it has to deal with kissing Jeremy, even though he says that it isn't. Simon's parents are also still not happy about this musical happening, and they've asked their priest over, and well, the priest doesn't give them the answer they want to hear. The priest actually says that the musical does have some good messages and that it comes down to trust, so if Simon trusts the director, then it's going to be okay. And of course, Simon trusts the director. During rehearsals for a scene where Simon's character kisses Jeremy, Simon is actually having some trouble going in for the kiss in the way Lou thinks it should happen with the body language. Now, Simon is hesitant and they keep doing it over and over, but he finally gets a little comfortable and he goes for it when Lou actually says, okay, great, let's move on, like right before the actual kiss happens. And it did look like Simon had finally worked up the courage to actually do the kiss, but then it was just cut short. Now later, Simon and Jeremy are talking, but they're not talking about rehearsals, it's more about the pop quizzes their teacher is giving. Jeremy asks Simon if he wants to study for them on Saturday, and Simon agrees, but you can tell he's hesitant. He's having second thoughts when he talks to Lilette, and he thinks that maybe Jeremy might get the wrong idea, or if people know that they're hanging out on a Saturday, which is usually a date night for people, that people will get the wrong idea. During rehearsals, Simon is sitting next to Annabelle, aka Shannon Purser, who flirted with him earlier in the episode. When Jeremy looks over at Simon and gives him this look, it freaks Simon out, and he all of a sudden turns to Annabelle and asks her out on a date the same Saturday so he doesn't have to hang out with Jeremy. Well, we see that Simon looks pretty miserable on his date with Annabelle, and when he returns home, his parents have a big surprise for him. They've enrolled him in St. Francis Prep. Yeah, his parents really aren't letting this Spring Awakening disapproval go. And well, that wraps up the main events of this week's episode. Now, I'm glad we're actually starting to dive more into the lives of the kids, and maybe we can put Lou's story, balance that a little, because it is still heavy on the Lou, but it seems like they're giving each of these kids a good storyline building up. I also feel like there has to be more to Gordy than just trying to rebel and feeling like he's a disappointment to his dad, so hopefully we dive into that even more, but him bonding with the coach will definitely cause some tension with Lou, I think. Now, I think the kids are actually really great on the show, and I am loving Rosie Perez, and it is getting better with each episode. I have a feeling, though, that by the end of the season, we're going to be really sick of these Spring Awakening songs. That's the one thing. It's not a musical, per se, so no one's busting out in random pop songs, but it still has the musical element, and there's only one musical that they're doing, so that'll be interesting to see how they balance that. For now, though, let's look at the promo for the next episode, which I actually think is just the promo they've been rolling promoting the season, but whatever, here it is.
This town is a shell of what it used to be. I want to make a statement.
This is over your head. Your job is on the line.
Robbie Thorne, that's a pretty big catch.
Mom, it's not like that.
I just don't want you to get hurt.
Coach benched me. Football's my future. What would you do?
Were you drinking? Yes or no?
No.
Do you feel something when you're with me?
The arts is what separates us, makes us understand life and death and love, everything that's important to us.
This is our chance to show people what's really possible. We will not be defeated.
Alright, now it is that time to hit up the comments. What do you think of this episode? Which kid's storyline are you most excited to see unfold, and do you have a favorite character yet? Let me know that you can check out the Season 3 premiere of Shadowhunters Recap right over here, and be sure to subscribe if you like what you see. My name's Lisa, I'll see you later, thanks for hanging out with me.